Kia ora koutou, Ruben Harland, Wellington Regional Council. Sounds like I'm chairing this one. First up, Helen Nathan from Boffa Miskell. Thank you very much.
Okay. Kia ora koutou, ko Helen toku ingoa. I'm a biosecurity consultant at Boffa Miskell, and today I'm going to be talking about some research that I'm doing, which is exploring tangata Māori perspectives on cat management in Aotearoa. Okay, so back in 2023, the Paddy Gower Has Issues program did an episode on feral cats, and Willow Jean Prime, who was the Minister for Conservation at the time, appeared on that show, and she announced, I believe for the first time on that show, that the upcoming Predator-Free 2050 strategy review was going to consider whether feral cats should be added to the target species list or not, and that Kiwis would get to have a say in that. And I meant to mention before, if you're not sure what the fuss is about cats, you should stick around and listen to my colleague Sian, who'll be talking next. She'll fill you in. So as many of you will be aware, that strategy review is happening. Public consultation on the review has just closed. Doc put out a sort of discussion document which proposed a number of 2030 interim goals, and at the moment the proposal is not to include feral cats on the target species list, so basically a continuation with the current target species list of rats, possums and mustelids. So circling back to what I've got to do with any of this, why am I researching Māori perspectives on cats? Well, I've been following the kind of conversation around the cats issue that's been going on for the past 5-10 years, and it's just something I observed that I wasn't hearing very often from iwi or hapu about their thoughts on this issue. If you watched a program about this or read a newspaper article, typically a journalist would maybe talk to a farmer, maybe talk to the SPCA, someone from DOC, and I wasn't seeing that viewpoint come through. So yeah, I wondered if that was just me or if it really kind of was absent from the conversation. And of course, as with all kind of issues of national policy and importance, Māori should be included in these discussions as treaty partners, and also just as, we own a lot of land and a lot of Māori are active kaitiaki in the environmental space. So, luckily for me, I got involved with a research program which is being led by Planted Food Research. They got some money to investigate a lure for feral cats, and my kind of little bit of it is sort of part of that wider program. And so I'm working on sort of a 3-step research program. The first part is just a literature review, so it is basically having a bit of a poke around and seeing what's already out there, what's been written on this topic, so very exploratory. The second step, which is happening now, is I've developed an online survey. So the idea with that is it's targeted specifically to Māori, and I'm trying to address some of the research gaps that I found in my literature review to try and get some more information on this. It's designed to be kind of really broad and sort of high level, or the questions are, quite surface level really. And the third step, I'm not really going to talk about this much because it's really early days and I don't know what this is going to look like yet, but with those first 2 steps that I already talked about, it's really quite a Western research or social science approach, And with this third step, the hope is to go a little deeper in partnership with some iwi and hapu-led feral cat eradication or management projects who are also part of this plant and food lure project. Okay, so the literature review is done. Hoping to publish that soon. The aim of it was to just, like I said before, just synthesise what's already out there in terms of, documented Māori perspectives on cat management. And it was looking at both feral and pet cats. I didn't so much look into the strays in this. So I looked at iwi and hapu management plans. If you're not sure what those are, it's documents that are put out by iwi or hapu in a resource management kind of context. They're really variable, but sort of a typical one is sort of quite high level. It outlines the sort of issues that are of concern to that iwi or hapu in their rohe, environmentally speaking, and sort of lays out some expectations for how to engage with that iwi or hapu on resource management issues. I also looked at the academic literature and grey literature. So that's, reports from government departments or whoever. And I just looked at a few selected websites as well that was just really targeted. So like the Predator Free New Zealand Trust website, PF2050 Limited website, E Tangata magazine, some ones like that. So first of all, when I looked at the iwi and hapu management plans, this was my findings. So I read 92 iwi hapu management plans that were focused on the terrestrial environment, so not freshwater, not marine, but specifically terrestrial. Of those, about 80% of them made some kind of reference to pest mammals or pest mammal management. And just under a quarter made specific reference to cats as an issue that iwi or hapu was dealing with. That might not immediately sound like a lot, but sort of I think considering the sort of high-level nature of these documents, it really is quite significant. And also some of them are really old. The oldest one that I looked at was from 1991. The median age was 2016, and so it's covering a long period of time over which I think the issue of cats in New Zealand has become more prominent. A few kind of key themes that came through in those plans that did reference cats specifically. Quite a few iwi and hapu noted that they considered domestic cats to be a threat in addition to ferals. Impacts on mahinga kai, so food gathering areas or sort of kai species, were sort of really foremost. In particular, titi. Several plans mention titi or mutton birds and the impact that cats have on them. And another really common one was just the lack of current cat control happening in their area, and also a lack of just knowledge about it. The monitoring wasn't happening. A lot of iwi or hapu weren't really sure, of the extent of the cat problem in their rohe, just due to lack of monitoring. So turning to the academic and grey literature, so perhaps unsurprisingly, I didn't find any papers that kind of were focused on my key research question of, what do tangata Māori think about cat control? So I read kind of widely around three key themes, which were just sort of social attitudes towards pest mammal management in general in New Zealand, social attitudes towards cat management in New Zealand, and just looked for Māori-led or Māori-supported feral cat management in New Zealand. And as you can see, there were, several articles aligned with those themes that I read. Some of them had information that was specific to Māori, and some of them didn't. So my aim was really to just pick up little nuggets of information wherever I could and sort of synthesise it all together. And just to highlight a few key findings that I found in those papers that I thought were really interesting. So Amanda Black et al. Did a survey in which their Māori respondents identified feral cats as a priority pest alongside rats, stoats, possums and wasps, so up there with the worst of them. Te Tira Whakamātaki did a survey in which exactly equal, 53% of Māori and Pākehā rated feral cats as a very serious threat. And in terms of sort of some responsible pet cat management practices like desexing or microchipping, there's not a lot of information out there on this, and the information that I did find was really inconsistent. So those 3 papers that I've noted there, the first 2 found that Māori pet owners have a slightly lower rate of doing these actions than other ethnicities, whereas the more recent paper by Forrest et al. 2023 found no difference. This is just a few projects of the many that I'd like to highlight. So there are many iwi o hapu-led kind of projects that are out there leading this work or supporting it in a partnership kind of role. A couple of these projects we're actually working with as part of that larger lure research project that I mentioned. So one of them there is Poipoiata Kākano. So yay! So that's led by Te Uri o Hau in the Kaipara, and Victoria Kurupo and Cheryl Krull will be doing a talk on this project on Friday morning. So that'll be a good one and you should go to it. And the other one that we're working with is Tū Mai Taonga. So they're a feral cat and rat eradication project on Aotea, Great Barrier Island. It's led by Ngāti Rehua, Ngāti Waikaotea. And this quote that you can see on the right there is a quote from Makere Jenner, who is the kind of project lead on that. She was interviewed on Breakfast not very long ago, and she said that it's a huge privilege for our whānau to be able to be here doing this work, and it's a once-in-a-generation opportunity for our iwi to be able to lead it at scale. So I just really liked that. So to summarise the key findings of that literature review, of course, as with any group of people, there's the whole range of opinions. But from kind of what's out there in terms of surveys, many to most Māori consider feral cats to be a pest and support control or eradication. Some iwi and hapu have reservations about specific control methods. For example, some of the iwi and hapu management plans that I looked at stated that they were opposed to the use of tenaiti in their rohe, especially if it was, aerially sown. Again, some, not all. And as I kind of mentioned before, we really don't know a lot about attitudes towards management of pet cats when it comes to Māori. And Māori are active leaders in feral cat control and eradication efforts, as we saw before. So that kind of wraps up the literature review part of the talk. The second part of the research is a survey. This is online now. The survey is specifically targeted at Māori who are 16 years or older. We did put quite a bit of consideration into whether, whether this should be for everybody, but what we're trying to achieve is really kind of plugging an information gap. So what I found with that literature review is that many of the surveys that had been done on New Zealanders' attitudes towards pest control, and many to most of them, Māori were really underrepresented in the survey population compared to how many Māori there are in our population. And so, we did kind of decide to focus specifically on Māori for this. And also I'm not really interested in sort of making direct comparisons between what Māori think versus what anyone else thinks. It's just a question. So I've sent this out, spamming it via email to like basically every iwi and hapu admin in the country, and sharing it on social media, so LinkedIn and Facebook, and please, I'd love it if you would share it as well. If you're Māori, I'd love you to do the survey. If you're not, I'd love you to share it. It'd be really appreciated. And it covers both feral and pet cat management. Again, I've kept away from strays, and it was mostly because just an issue of keeping the survey doable. Like, I didn't want somebody to sit down and do a half-an-hour survey, so I really focused on the feral and pet cats. These are just a few examples of the questions that are in that survey. I don't know if you can read that, sorry, but there are questions on feral cats there on the left. So I've asked questions that are kind of around the perceived impacts. So that one that you can see up on the top left there is about, you know, what is your perception of the impacts of feral cats on mahinga kai? There's other ones around just sort of native biodiversity in general. Do you think they're a nuisance? Like all sorts of impacts. They're all on these kind of, well, most of the questions are on these kind of easy, you know, 5-point scales so that it's really quick and easy to do. I've asked sort of some location-based questions, like, you know, do you think that the level of feral cat management that's happening in your own region is about right, not enough, way too much? How concerned are people about various sort of issues in terms of feral cat management? So the example I have up there is about welfare, but there's other ones as well, like non-target impacts, you know, other concerns that people might have. The big one up there on the top right is, do you agree or disagree that feral cats should be added to the predator-free 2050 target species list? So we're very interested to see how that one pans out. And the remaining three there are all about kind of pet cats. So, you know, how do people feel about companion pets as part of their whānau? How do they perceive the impacts of cats? I'm sort of interested to see if, you know, feral cats are perceived as being more damaging than pet cats or not. Thank you. And yeah, some questions around that kind of, those pet management practices like microchipping and desexing and containment as well. Yeah, so that kind of rounds out my talk. I just want to briefly acknowledge people that I'm working with. So I got some funding for this from the MB Smart Ideas Research Fund, so that funds that larger plant and food project. And also Boffa Miskell, my employer, gave me some money, well, some hours as part of our internal research program as well. The partners that are listed at the bottom are all working on the plant and food research project. So Pōpua Te Kākano and Tūmai Taonga, as I mentioned before, Ngāti Mutunga as well in Taranaki, we're working with them. Critter Solutions and also Margaret Stanley from the University of Auckland is on the team as well. And so, yeah, thank you very much. We have a copy of this QR code on our stand, the Boffa Miskell stand. Come along, scan it, have a go. And thank you very much.
Ka pai, Helen. I think we've got time for one or two questions. Anybody got a question?
Kia ora, Helen. That's
Kia
a
ora.
great presentation. Just, will you be able to share the results of your survey with council? Are you recording which region? Because some of the
Yes.
regions,
Yep,
regional questions you're asking will be really interesting for us to know.
Absolutely.
What we feel about in our patch.
Yeah, so I do ask survey respondents to tell me which region that they live in. So I'll have a bit of information about that along with some other kind of demographics about, I mean, hopefully everybody responding to the survey is Māori, but there's other, you know, there may be other ethnicities as well. It's got, you know, all those normal demographic sort of questions that you would expect. yeah, the region. And yeah, I'm really interested in sharing this information once the surveys. I don't know when the survey is going to be closed. I'm just putting it out there, hoping to get enough responses, and then I'll close it. So I think I'm sitting at about 100 at the moment. I'd love to get at least 200. So yeah.
Ka pai. Anybody else? I think we've got time. No, that's it.